welcome back. Well, just a little bit of an update on what I've been up to this last couple of weeks working on the car. Been doing a lot of sanding on the back end. I know I haven't really touched on this much as far as this part of the car. Most of the work's been in the front area. Just to give you kind of a rundown. What I'm dealing with is flattening this surface out. And on these staves, what I do when I was putting this together, I would put this on a 1/4 inch piece of plywood. And then I would put a stop here and a stop here, and I would clamp it down. And then I would run it through the table saw to take the edge off of it, because it has a slant, it had a beveled edge on it. So in order to glue these together, I needed to take that edge off. And so this material is called Tiger Oak. It's from France. I got these barrels. There were 3 barrels that I used. And this is a complete barrel here, and that's called a pungent barrel. These are usually the barrels here. The smaller barrels are the ones you usually see out in planter boxes or maybe a trash can or something out in front of a business. But this is a taller barrel. A little bit more liquid you can put inside of them. And it's called a pungent barrel. And the smaller barrels are hedgehog, I do believe. But this was Tiger Oak, and I got it from a winery here, a local winery called Sisquoc Winery. So I talked to the winemaker, and he actually gave me a wine thief that I use for my shifter, and he gave me the 3 barrels, which I think originally these barrels were probably $1,500 a piece when they probably purchased them from France. This comes out of a certain forest in France, the Tiger Oak, and so what I'm currently doing is flattening. I don't know if I showed you exactly the profile on this, but when I was screwing and gluing these together, you can see that maybe you can see that they're just not quite lined up, and you can see that the center is proud, right? So I'm in the process of flattening this dome out here that's on the center section here. You have natural flaws that are going to be in this stuff. Some of these areas you can see where they had their bands nailed on. And then some self-created errors. Yeah, gonna have those too. But what I'm trying to do at this point is flatten the majority of this out. You probably can't see too well, but there's a high spot in here that I need to take down. And one over here and then one across the top. So I'm using a belt sander, using 120. 80 grit is just too much material at once comes off. And it gives me a little bit more trouble if I use the 80 grit, so I've taken it down to 120. And then this is part of the stuff I've been doing here this past week. Working on my windshield frame. If you guys have followed along a lot of the videos, I had the 29 doors that I got that I used on this car were just totally just solid rust all over them, and I used muriatic acid. And I did the same thing on this. I spent about 4 hours putting muriatic acid and putting it on, letting it sit, put some more on, letting it sit. And then obviously you have to neutralize that with water. If you ever use muriatic acid, be prepared. It's very toxic, burn your skin, and if you breathe it in, it'll choke you out. Probably really don't want to breathe it in. Face shield, gloves, and a respirator. Not your little cloth respirator, but a filtered respirator. But it works awesome. I mean, it removes rust like no tomorrow. And the part of that was because this frame, as you can see here, how bad the rust ate into it. So this is like 93 years old, this frame here. This was that front cowl I got was a 1930 Model A. And so I'm going to save it. It's about $400 for a new one, but then a new one I'd have to modify it to fit my windshield. So I can save this. It's in awesome shape compared to what it was. Had to do some welding on it, fix some holes, especially on this side. But I've got a encapsulator, a primer, sealant, two-part epoxy. It's called Rust Bond. If you look it up on the internet, it's called Rust Bond. And I'm going to use it as an encapsulator and a sealer. And it has rust inhibitors in it too. So it's a very good quality commercial grade sealer that I'm going to put on here and then put my Bondo on top of that. So those are just some of the things that I've been working on. It's a process. I probably have 20 hours into that frame with removing the rust and fixing the bad spots. So it's just part of the life of restoring a car. But this part of it is turning out awesome. Before we go, let me get you guys, and I'll give you guys a good example of how beautiful this wood is with this tiger print on it. And these were the lid pieces off the barrels. I've got a jam that I was able to carve in there. Let's see, it was one of the subscribers, Dancing with Rentals, commented on my last video about how he really thought that was a cool line right there with the metal door and the staves there, how I rounded that corner there. I tried to emulate the 1930-31 trunk part. Instead of the turtle deck, how it comes straight out, I kind of have it beveled like the 30-31. But yep, you might say, what in the world are you up to? But man, It just really adds a special touch having this tiger oak. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.